My name is Sylvanus Odjo. I'm from Benin, West Africa, and I'm a post-harvest specialist working for the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, known by its Spanish acronym CIMMYT. CIMMYT is a non-profit organization and is the global leader in publicly funded maize and wheat research. I'm currently based here in Mexico, and we work with hundreds of partners to improve livelihood and foster more productive, sustainable maize and wheat farming. Here in CIMMYT, I'm working on the development and implementation of post-harvest practices for cereal in Mexico and Latin America, with the objective of providing smallholder farmers sustainable solutions to minimize post-harvest losses. I started by the end of 2017. And before joining CIMMYT, I did my PhD in Belgium about drying, maize drying, but in a kind of different system because it is, let's say, an industrial or large scale drying. As I said, the conventional practices are inefficient in protecting the grain. So Hermetic's technologies are a viable solution to avoid these losses. I started to work on Hermetic technology with my current position, which is focused on smallholder farmers. And Hermetic technologies, including Hermetic metallic silo, Hermetic bags, or recycled plastic container, are a perfect fit for farmers that don't handle a large quantity of grain. So this is why we are working on these technologies for smallholder farmers. I think our study was carried out in a variety of regions because we have different climatic conditions here in Mexico. And climatic conditions affect storage, particularly for non-hermetic technologies. I mean, here in Mexico, we work, as I say, we work on different climate, including temperate climate, tropical savanna, tropical humid, in highland and lowland, from sea level to more than 2,000 meters above sea level. So we have noticed, for example, that insect pressure with polypropylene bags, the most common farmer practice, is 10 times important in lowland than in highland. So when you are in a highland, for example, around 2,500 meters above sea level, and you want to show farmers the difference that you got with conventional practices and losses, it may be challenging. Then you need to focus on fungi because we have more fungi problem, which may create food safety issue. But these kind of, to make a brief summary, I want to say that climatic conditions just have impact on non-hermetic technologies. Hermetic technologies are efficient in maintaining grain quality regardless of the climatic condition. Of course, an important parameter is the quality of the hermetic technology and how it is used. Meaning, if we are using a perforated hermetic bag or a hermetic metal silo with bad welding, that doesn't guarantee an adequate level of hermeticity, so it won't work. That highlighted the importance of having hermetic technologies of good quality and training. I think it is a very interesting question. It really depends on the area here in Mexico and also around the world. Smallholder farmers use a variety of storage technology to preserve their grain, including polypropylene bags, or traditional wooden structure or granaries. Unfortunately, these technologies don't sufficiently protect their grain against pests. For example, insects such as the maize weevil or the large grain borer, or fungi from the genus Aspergillus or Fusarium that may produce mycotoxin, or even other pests such as rodent that can cause extensive damages depending on the conditions. So storage losses in these conditions are very high and can reach, depending on the area and the climatic condition, 60% of the harvest, which is very dramatic for the farmers whose food security depends directly on his harvest. Some farmers may use to protect their grain with chemicals, such as fumigant, like aluminum phosphide. But what we have noticed here in Mexico is that farmers don't have the training and the material to handle these products, and they don't respect the recommended doses. Little is known about the effect of these practices on their health. We hear about some intoxication, but I think it is a very big, the handling of authorized and non-authorized product in agriculture in general, and particularly in the case of post-harvest, is a health issue here in Mexico. So basically here are, what can I say regarding conventional storage practices here in Mexico. And also in Latin America, where we have more or less the same condition. Okay, so I think the innovation in agriculture is really complex, and some of the farmers are aware that they have extensive losses during storage. So we here in CIMMYT, we have an innovation approach based on what we call a hub system, which basically is composed of research platform, demonstration module, and extension areas. The idea of the hub is to provide a space where all actors of the value chain can meet, interact, and link up to reduce information asymmetries and transaction costs. So a platform, suppose that we go in an area where farmers identify storage as a problem, then platforms are focused on research to find solutions to a problem identified by farmers. And then modules are places where we have interaction with farmers. Typically, in the case of storage, a module is a side-by-side comparison between the conventional practice of farmers and at least one innovation, here Hermetic technologies with the grain. So, in that particular case where we want farmers to be part of the validation of these technologies, this side-by-side comparison allows farmers to see directly the difference made by innovation. And in the implementation of modules, we generally ask farmers to evaluate the characteristics of the grain after storage. We ask them to touch it, to smell it, to evaluate the quality. And this is really powerful because we can directly see that they are amazed on the result. So the quantification of the damage also helps them to see the amount of grain they are losing, and that they need these technologies to minimize losses during storage. So we got very interesting results, and generally farmers really accept these hermetic technologies as a solution to avoid post-harvest losses. CIMMYT is promoting the use of hermetic technology through the implementation of modules and extension area, as I mentioned. Let me tell you that as soon as we demonstrate the effectiveness, farmers directly ask for where to purchase them and the cost. These are big questions because even if the profitability of hermetic technology has been demonstrated in some area, a lot of smallholder farmers can't afford it. We need to think about business model that can help them adopt these technologies. We basically focus on farmers that notice that there is a problem and are willing to, are asking for a solution. Actually, I can say that CIMMYT was not working a lot in hermetic technologies, but farmers were keep asking for a solution to avoid losses. Then CIMMYT head team decided to focus on promoting these technologies. The first thing that we do is to explain them, how it works, explaining why that we need, for example, making analogy from human. For example, I used to make kind of analogy saying a human maybe can live 3 weeks without eating, 3 days without drinking water, but breathing, we can 3 minutes, we cannot survive. And then after that, what is really important is to demonstrate to them that it works, because even if you explain the principle, they can say, okay, you can say, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I can show you in my publication that I demonstrated that it works. It is not sufficient. This is why modules in our methodology is powerful, because it is in the house of the farmer. So farmers can't say that we are, we are doing trick we are trying to fool them. So in their house, with their grain, we make the comparison. And when we open the technologies and you see the reaction of farmers saying, we got very good video. These maize were stored 6 months without chemicals. because we ask them, okay, you need to evaluate, you need to smell the grain, see the quality, check the quality, describe us the quality, and we make the comparison with the conventional method. And let me tell you that this is powerful because you can show that they are really amazed by the result. A lot of people don't know how to handle it. Farmers, they lack training and materials because, to use phosphine, you need to have hermetic environment, Because this is what it is advised because the tablet in contact with the air release a poisonous gas that can kill. Sometimes we have some testimony from farmers who say that, well, I used to use phosphine and then I got ill, but with Hermetic technologies, I don't need to use anymore these tablets, so I'm more healthier. I got this kind of testimony with farmers. It really depends. I don't have the exact number in my mind, but I don't. How fumigant work. Fumigant. Like phosphine tablet produce a gas, and basically they kill all of the viable form of insects that are living, meaning, for example, larvae and adults. But for example, eggs and pupa are still protected. It depends on the study, and sometimes you can see that it was demonstrated that this form of insect can be resistant to fumigant. So you need to treat it again. If you want a sufficient level of protection. In our study, what we did is we try to follow exactly what farmers used to do. And what do they do? In some area, it is recommended to use 4 to 6 tablets for 1 ton of grain. But in some area, for example, in the state of Oaxaca, farmers even use 3 tablets per 50 kilograms of grain. So they put 1 in the bottom, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the top, because the effect after 45 days, the effect of fumigant don't last. So to avoid to treat it again a lot of time, what they do is to place another fumigant, free tablet of phosphine per 50 kilograms, which is a very, very high doses. So what we notice generally is that with phosphine, we have got a very good protection at the beginning, but when the storage is more than 3 months, 6 months, then we got a lot of damage. You can even have sometimes 15-20% of damage, while we maintain post-harvest losses or with Hermetic technologies below 5%. We here in CIMMYT, we are fully convinced that Hermetic technologies are part of the solution. Of course, there are some prerequisites to use Hermetic technologies. If you put grain with high moisture content inside Hermetic technology, it won't work. So Hermetic technologies are part of the solution, but not only. We need, for example, technical support to teach them how to use these technologies, how to dry the grain, how to check for moisture content before storage. But I totally agree, and I'm convinced that if we want to strengthen farmer food security in the development world, if we want to achieve the sustainable development goals, zero hunger goals, meaning if you want to end all form of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, then we need to minimize losses at the global level, and particularly in the developing world. And Hermetic technologies have this potential. So the research, yes, we are showing evidence, we are demonstrating that it works, but I think our most important point is about the development, raising awareness among, for example, government, with private sector, with non-governmental organization. This is where we need to, we need to focus, the development part, we need to focus our work to promote these technologies, because it works, but now we need to look at for scaling. How can we reach all of these smallholder farmers, because post-harvest loss is really high. And if we really want to achieve the zero hunger sustainable development goals, then we really need to find scheme for the scaling up of these technologies. I rather think that a lot of people are not aware of the availability of these technologies. And I think this is why I say that we need to create more awareness and work on the scaling up of these technologies. As I say, we have very big challenges, including accessibility and business model for adoption. So, but to answer your question, if I met someone who is reluctant to hermetic solution, I would say, just try it and see the result for your own. I would say that definitely that we need to work together. I mean, non-profit organizations like us, private sector, to promote these technologies because they have the potential to minimize losses. Post-harvest losses is a very big problem. You know, in Guatemala, it is associated, bad storage handling associated with the development of mycotoxin and aflatoxin is associated with cancer, liver cancer. So, the cost of losses coupled with health issue is really important. So, and we have this solution that can help in avoiding. So we need to work on the promotion of these technologies. That we have to work with the private sector and the government. We don't have any problem. We are aware of that. And we can still find a way to be part of this event and bring this message that we have of things that we, make research, bring into the farmers the right solution. As Norman Borlaug, the father of CIMMYT, used to say, the Nobel Prize in 1970, Nobel Prize used to say, take it to the farmers. So we need to take to the farmers right technologies. And for this, we need to work together with government, private sector, and all of the other stakeholders.